Hey guys, Brian here from Trinity Home Healing. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive here today on classical flying star Feng Shui, and go into kind of what compasses and what makes up um, your negative and positive auras of a building. So before we get started, I did want to kind of mention with flying star Feng Shui, it is quite um, a very unique layered process. So it's not simple black and white. It's very much unique. It's kind of like your fingerprints. So you're dealing with your permanent energies, you're dealing with annual, you're dealing with monthly energies. So it is pretty involved. For anybody who is kind of just curious of, dipping their toes in the water, I really do highly recommend finding out what your qua number is. It's super simple. It's based off of your date of birth. You can just go onto the internet, calculate that, and that will give you your auspicious and inauspicious directions. So that alone is a really great way to start it off with. If you just want to kind of find out what areas of your home will be more beneficial for you to work in if you have a home office or your bedroom, because those are super important areas of the house. So let's get into it today with classical flying star Feng Shui. So what is flying star Feng Shui? Classical flying star Feng Shui is a very unique modality. It deals specifically with determining positive and negative auras of your home. So it's kind of like an astrological chart, but for your home. And that would encompass many areas such as determining the wealth sectors of the home. It deals with relationships, mental health, external parties. There's many layers to Flying Star Feng Shui. So what's the difference between classical flying star Feng Shui versus the Western new contemporary Feng Shui methods? Well, classical Feng Shui is a living science and it utilizes one's natural environment based on the site's landforms, the five elements, architectural design, directions and temporal placement. Mountain and water forms are also examined in a local setting to kind of identify the flow of the energy. And in terms of classical, the Western, newer modern age feng shuis, you're looking more at the art of placement. Now, it with contemporary feng shuis, it takes a lot of symbolism and trinkets and crystals, for example, and it doesn't really take into consideration a lot of the principles and practices that classical does, such as compass measurement. It doesn't take into consideration the flying stars or the facing of a home. So there's a lot of differences between the newer modern age feng shui, and it's kind of its attempt to simplify the process, but unfortunately, classical feng shui, it's not simple and it can be really confusing, especially to new people that are looking into feng shui because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So make sure you do your research, find out what you're drawn to and what path you want to take. But classical flying star feng shui I found a bit to be very accurate, specific, and the results are quite amazing. So, what information are you going to need to get started on your layout today? Well, first and foremost, you're going to need your floor plans. It's best if you have these professionally done. If not, you're going to have to bring out the old tape measure, probably have a friend with you, and measure your walls to get an accurate measurement. It is very important that you have a to-scale drawing. You want your drawing to be as close as possible. So once you've got your blueprint and you're ready to go, next step is we need to determine the period of your home. next you'll need to determine the period of your home. Flying Star Feng Shui has a time cycle of 180 years, and they consist of 9 periods, 20 years each. So determining the period of your home, it's a very important and foundational information that we use to calculate the aura of the residence. As you can see in the chart below, there's period 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm sure a majority of us will be in period 8, but you can take a look at the move-in date. Please note the most reliable and accurate date for calculating this is based on your move-in date, not the date the building was constructed. All right, now that you've determined the correct period of your home, the next step would be to determine the correct facing of your home. So to get started, you'll also need to make sure you have a compass. You can use your phone compass, but a good quality hiking compass works just as great. So in Feng Shui, it can be a mistaken belief that they say your compass reading will always be at the front door of your home. And unfortunately, this is just not always the case. In classical Feng Shui, we go by the more yang side, where the vibrant, active energy resides. And although that can be the front door of your home, it's not always, especially when you consider apartment buildings or condominiums, for example. A lot of the time they will have a different facing than the entrance of the building. All right, we're going to go through a couple examples so I can show you some typical facings of a home. If you look at the example here, house number 1, you'll see how the front door is facing the main street. In this case, it's a pretty straightforward compass measurement. You would stand with your back towards the door, facing the street to take your compass reading. A majority of homes you find will be similar to house number 1, but you will get some tricky ones. For example, in house number 2, you can see here that their door is against this wall and it is facing, I guess I don't have directions on here, but it would be facing, let's say, east, for example. But the true compass measurement would be taken from this wall here. And you would stand with your back towards that wall facing out, because this is the busier Yang Street. And this is where you want to take your compass direction from. You'll also find a similar situation if we flip over to the next page here and look at this apartment building. You'll see here on the south side, you have the entrance. However, the west side of the building has a busy 4-lane road that has traffic coming and going at all times of the day and night. And this entrance road is more for the local traffic. So in this case, you'd actually take your compass measurement from the west side of the wall right here. And you would be facing towards that busier Yang Street. So as you can see, sometimes determining the facing of your home isn't as, simple as just taking your compass measurement from your front door. You really want to be able to observe the landforms, the exterior, what's around your building. Are there mountains? Is there a busy street on one side? So there's many kind of factors that play into determining the correct facing of your home. All right, guys, we're on to the next step. So now that we have the correct period of the home, we've determined the correct facing of the home, we now have to take that compass measurement and then superimpose that over a layout so we can determine the permanent energies. When you're on to that compass measurement, again, you can always take your compass measurement with your phone compass. You don't need to go out and buy a fancy Chinese low pan. Or if you do have a hiking compass, that would be your best bet. But now that you're ready to go, you would just need to simply stand with your back towards the correct facing wall and have your compass or your phone pointing out towards the street. Now you want to make sure that your compass is being held flat and is parallel to the floor. And also an important thing to keep in mind is metal will affect the compass. So if you're wearing lots of, big metal bracelets or a big metal necklace, or maybe you're using it against your door and your door is metal, those are all things to keep in mind to make sure you guys get an accurate compass reading. All right, now we're going to go over demarcating the layout. All right, so demarcating the layout is when we will superimpose the compass over the blueprint, and then we can determine what sectors reside where. So for example, there's a couple different ways we can do this. A lot of you guys might be familiar with the 9 grids. You'll see a lot of practitioners, for example, take a home layout and divide it into 9 equal squares. Now, although this is a really popular form and method, as you can see, it makes it a little bit challenging when you're wanting to either activate an area or remedy it, because you'll see there's rooms that encompass more than one direction. So, if you look at bedroom 1 as an example, you'll see that it contains energies of the northeast and energies of the east. So that can be quite tricky when you're dealing with multiple energies in one room. Another popular way is using the 24 mountain pie chart. Now, I do personally use this chart, but it's not the only method I use and I have been taught. So for example, you would find the center of your floor plan. You can then put the compass over the floor plan based off, let's say, for example, this house is facing 180 degrees. You can then overlay it over the layout and see which areas encompass the north, the west, the east, the south, and so on. But again, as you can see, you kind of run into the same problem where you have multiple sectors or multiple rooms of the home that occupy more than one energy. And again, it makes it extremely difficult when you're trying to work with activating certain areas of the home. So how our school and how I've been taught how to demarcate a home is we compartmentalize the energies. So we go through the whole process of determining the period, getting the facing, and I do use this 24 mountain compass pretty much religiously. It's also extremely handy when you have long layouts, and not everybody's house is a square box. I mean, it would be much easier if that was the case, but it's not. So I've taken an easy example here. We've found the center. We're going to lay the 24 mountain compass in the center, 180 degrees facing, and then I've demarcated the boxes accordingly. So you can see the east is occupied in bedroom 2. You've got the northeast in bedroom 1, the north in the living room, and so on. And I mean, as you can see, you can match up the energies with the 24 mountains. So, I mean, in terms of compartmentalizing, we don't just put the energies anywhere. They need to, correlate with the correct directions. But that's how we would compartmentalize a layout. Yay, guys. Now we are getting to the fun part where we can start determining the permanent energies and look at what we need to activate or remedy. So we have, yay, the period of your home. We now have the facing of the home, and we've been able to demarcate the layout so we know which direction is occupying which rooms. We've obtained the applicable information. We can now go and move forward with calculating the energies of the home. So you'll see here, this is a low shu. It's a 9-grid chart, and it will consist of 3 numbers in each palace. Middle star here is your base star, your time period star. That number is just strictly based off of the time period. So when you've actually moved into the house. Now, it's important to note that that base star is not used to remedy or activate. It's just simply a calculation to help us obtain the numbers for the sitting star and the facing star. So now if we look into the upper right corner, you'll see facing star here. So the facing star is also known as the water star, and you'll have these located in each palace on the upper right-hand corner. And this pertains to an occupant's wealth, finance, business. Star really symbolizes the wealth potential and the prosperity. And it can indicate riches, having, for example, an auspicious facing star in important areas like your front entrance or the desk. It's said to bring an enormous wealth. So good stars indicate luck, while the bad stars indicate money loss. So then if we move on to the sitting star, also known as the mountain star, this is going to always be located in your upper left-hand corner in each flying chart. Now, all of these stars affect the health, romance, people, relationships, the family, as well as mental attitudes. So it can really symbolize the social status, or the status of this community within the family's popularity. On Flying Star Feng Shui, there's actually 81 different combinations that make up these charts. So you can definitely go online, do a little bit of research. I'm not going to go through 81 combinations today, but it's a really good idea to familiarize yourself with the different flying stars individually and what they mean. So for example, star number 1, this is a beautiful white star. Its element's water and it represents victory. Star number 2 is a black star. It is an earth element, and this star represents illness. Star number 3, which is the jade star and an element of wood. This star can represent disharmonies and quarrels. Star number 4, the green star, element of wood, and this is an inspiration romance star. Star number 5. This is one of the most dreaded stars within Feng Shui, along with star number 2, as that's also an illness star. But number 5 is an earth element, and the star represents a significant misfortune and disaster. Definitely a star you want to remedy within your home. But there are also exceptions to that. Star number 6. White star is element of metal, and this is your heavenly star, your career travel star. Star number 7, the red star. This is an element of metal, and this one is not so great either. This one represents violence, robbery, backstabbing, all the things you also want to stay away from. Star number 8, the white star, which is an earth element, and this represents wealth, good fortune. It's a beautiful star to work with. Star number 9. So we've got the purple star. That element is fire, and this represents your fame and your bliss. So it's a good idea to go over and get familiar with what the stars represent, and that will help you with incorporating that into your layout. Now, when working with the flying stars, it's important to also be familiar with the five elements and their cycles, because we use this whether we want to, say, activate an area, or if we want to remedy an area, we use certain elements to incorporate the results. So quickly to go over here, for example, you've got wood. So wood feeds fire. So going in a clockwise position, this is your producing cycle. This is the activating cycle. Fire produces earth. Earth bears metal. Your metal collects water, and the water nourishes the wood. And if you're wanting to remedy or weaken an energy in a certain area, you're going to want to do the opposite. You're going to want to look at the weakening cycle. So, for example, wood depletes water. Your water rusts metal. Metal impoverishes earth. Earth smothers the fire, and your fire burns the wood. So it's kind of this cycle, depending on your energies in your home and how you want to harmonize those. You will see the controlling cycle here. I'm not going to go too much into that, but these are the destructive energies. So, for example, water puts out fire. So that is a destructive energy. We try to stay just in the producing and weakening cycles to create that balance and harmony. But you can also work with the controlling cycle in certain areas if that's applicable. All right, so before we start wrapping things up, I wanted to go over with you guys on how to activate the facing star. So again, if we're looking at the right hand number, the top right-hand number, that is the facing star, and that's relating to your business, your wealth, your money energy. And if we want to activate that, the facing stars they need movement. They're a very yang energy. They want activity. So, for example, the doors, coming in and out and opening a door, moving water, fireplaces, your electronics, if you have your computer, and all the TVs running, that's all very busy, yang, bright energy, and that's going to activate the facing star. So you want to be mindful of what numbers are in what sectors. If we kind of go over a quick example, you'll see in this red circle here, bedroom is listed with a 4-1 energy. We're just going to be looking at the facing star here. The 1 energy is relating to success, wealth. It's a very positive star. And this is an image of my layout that I'm currently in, and I've used that bedroom for my office. So it's a perfect room for activating wealth. And now how I activate that is by using, coming in and out, having my computer in here. It's just all that busy energy. I do also place a water feature here, but I'm going to leave for another topic because that's a very specific thing. You can't just put a water feature anywhere. And there's definitely some layers to that. So we're going to leave that for another time, but just that busy energy that takes part in that room is going to activate your facing star. So now that you know how to activate the facing star, what about the mountain star? So the mountain star is the opposite. It's a yin energy. It needs that stillness. It symbolizes a mountain. A mountain's tall, it's strong, it's stable, it's not going anywhere. So you want to be able to use, mountain-like objects to activate your sitting star. Keep in mind the exterior and the landforms play a big part of this as well. So if you have, a mountain in your backyard, it's going to be activating those stars, good or bad. But if you don't, and you just need to work with some placements, for example, you can use other things such as tall, heavy bookshelves. You can make retaining walls. But again, the mountain star is really, you want to observe your exterior and what's around your home because, things such as electrical towers, those types of objects will activate your mountain star, especially if you're in the city and you've got large skyscrapers next to you. That's all going to activate those numbers. Another thing that does activate both the mountain star and the facing star is sleeping. So where your bed is, you're going to be activating both of those stars. So that's something really important. Bed placement is one of those things you want to make sure it's in a good room, facing a good direction. So again, as well as the exterior stairwells and staircases also can activate the mountain star. And if you look in, again, this circle example where that bedroom is in my layout, as I mentioned, I do use that as an office, but my stairwell within my home also encompasses that southeast sector. So I'm activating the mountain star and I'm activating the facing star as well. And it's a great combination relating to work and relationships. You guys have all the energies. You now can take a look at each individual sector or room of the home and determine whether or not you guys want to activate it or remedy it. I really want to, make a point that there is lots of information and layers to this, and I don't want you guys to get stressed out with trying to run around and feng shui the entire house. Pick like three main key rooms, like your entrance, the bedroom, and if say you work from home and your office is an area that you spend a lot of time in, focus on those three rooms. Every home is going to not have a perfect layout. They're not, there's going to be negative energies and positive energies. So there's no such thing as a fully feng shui perfect house. You're going to be dealing with those polarities no matter what home you reside in. So once you have analyzed the certain sectors, you can then work with the elements to decide whether or not you want to activate or remedy a sector of a home. So if you're looking at, for example, the bedroom, which again I use as my office, it has a 4-1 energy. And if we're wanting to activate the one, as we discussed before, it's all about, having your presence in there, the busy yang energy, the fiery element of your electronics, for example. But if you want to work with the element as well, that's what harmonizes or activates and amplifies that energy. So one, as we discussed, is a water star. So how can I activate this room based off of the element one? Since one is water and the southeast is also an area where you can place a water feature. Again, that does not go for every sector of the home. So please do not place a water feature anywhere you have a good star. So water is a very strong, powerful energy to usher in that chi. So in this case, I can place a water feature in here or also work with elements of blues and that sort of thing. So that's what's going to help increase the chi of this star number one. And if we're looking at certain objects, for example, you could even use like a still pail of water. If you have like a large vase, you can have that filled up with water, and that water is also going to amplify it. Now, in terms of the mountain star, I also want to activate that mountain star because number 4 is the star of like scholarly pursuits, success. It's good for relationships. And so number 4 star represents the wood star. And how you can activate that is by large big, heavy items. So in my case, I've placed a large wooden bookshelf that's around 5 or 6 feet tall in this room. So that's going to activate my mountain star. And I already have a permanent structure being the stairwell that is also activating that mountain energy. But now, if we want to, for example, remedy an area. So, as you know, the number 5 and the number 2 are both illness and misfortune stars. They're not great stars. You don't want to activate these ones. So, what you want to work with is 5 and 2 are both an earth element. And what is going to weaken the earth element? Metal. So a good thing to place in this area would be metal furniture, a saltwater cure. I will I will give you guys an additional video regarding the saltwater cures because they are phenomenal. Salt is a great factor that absorbs any negative energy. So I work with salt cures all the time. My clients use them as well, and they're quite handy and effective. So when when you're working with your stars, you just want to make sure, you're kind of feeling out the energy. Like the 5 and the 2 are not great stars, and you're going to have issues with relationships, issues with finances, and so on. So if, for example, I go and I make this a busy area, the center of the home in my case, that's the hallway. That's where you're coming and going all the time. And sometimes you can't always avoid that. So what I like to do is keep that area dark. I don't have the lights on all the time. And then again, placing metal elements. What you don't want to do is place lots of earth elements in the situation because earth is going to amplify that energy and increase the mishaps and disasters that could happen in your life. So that's kind of how you work with the elements. I've posted some information here regarding the objects and their elements. For example, if we quickly go through it, fire, you can use candles, light fixtures, fireplaces, electronics. That's all a fire element. In terms of wood, you've got plants, trees, wood furniture. And I will mention as well, like in my office, I have a couple plants, which represents that wood energy, and then I have them in blue pots, which amplifies the water and that blue color. In terms of the earth element, you can be working with different bricks, terracottas, crystals, boulders. If you're a crystal collector like myself, depending on the earth sector, you can place a lot of your beautiful stones in that area. Metal is all about, metal furniture. You could use filing cabinets, pots and pans, or anything of that matter. In terms of water, again, a lot of the time you can be working with just still water, which is a very popular way. The moving water is a touchy subject. Again, I've mentioned it before, but you do not want to be placing moving water throughout your house if you don't know what you're activating, because moving water will activate that facing star. And again, I've also included the colors so you can take a look. Fire is the red, the orange, the pinks. The wood element is all shades of green. The earth element is shades of brown. You've got metal element is the whites, your grays, your metallic colors. And the water element is, of course, the blues, bluest purples, and even the blacks. I wanted to thank you guys for spending this time with me on this deep dive with classical Feng Shui. As you guys can see, there's many layers to it, so I tried to pack as much information in there as I could for you in a short amount of time. So thank you again. If you guys have any questions or want to reach out, you can visit my website at www.trinityhomehealing.com, or you can shoot me off an email if you have questions or anything I can help you out with. It's trinityhomehealing@gmail.com. And if you guys want to stay tuned, I'll do a quick video for you guys regarding the saltwater cures, so you can use that for your place. Thank you. All the best. Stay tuned here for the last couple minutes, and I'm going to go over how to make a salt cure with you guys. Thanks for all your time, and Bye for now. Hello everybody. I wanted to go through with you guys today on making a salt cure for your home. It's a great powerful tool that we use in Feng Shui, and what it does is it can help remove or absorb any negative energies that are residing in your home. They're quite simple to make. I use them all the time. So let's get to it. What you guys are going to need is a glass jar. There's larger ones, smaller ones. I have kind of a smaller one with me today. Some coarse sea salt. Some people do use, Himalayan salt. So there's definitely different options. Usually you get like a box of it, but they've been sold out lately in stores. So right now I just have some coarse sea salt here. We'll also need some metal coins. So we'll need 6 metal coins. A lot of people like to use, you can get the Chinese coins and you can use those, but just kind of be cautious and be aware that if you're using them, you want them to be metal. You need metal coins because some of them I've seen have been plastic, they're not metal. What I'm going to use today are just some nickels. So we will need 6 of them specifically. And some water. So I guess let's get to it here. So you want to fill up your jar with some salt. Kind of like 3/4 of the way full. That's pretty much all I got. So that's what we're going to go with today. So you've got your jar of salt. We're going to place the coins in here. Like I said, if you do have the Chinese coins, you can put the characters facing upwards. And put them in there kind of in a nice little circle. 4, 5, and we'll put 1 in the middle. All right, so if you can see, I've got my 6 coins in there. And now we're going to fill this up with some water. So just slowly dump it in. And I mean, you don't want to go all the way to the top. So this is my jar here. Now, all right, so with these saltwater cures, it is good to put like a plate underneath them, or something that you'd be okay with throwing out at the end of it, because you do not want to touch these. Once you've got it in the space that you plan on putting it in, you want an open airflow, and you don't want to be touching it and moving it around, so kind of somewhere out of the way. If you guys do have kids or animals, and you kind of have concerns about that, you can try looking at getting maybe a floating shelf or something to put it up there. I've done that as well, and that seems to work quite well. So yeah, there you go. There's your salt cure. Super simple to make. You can leave it there, and then it'll start to crust over, and then once it's ready to dispose, it's very important when you're disposing this that you're not touching it. Put some gloves on. You don't want to reuse anything, so you want to throw this entire jar, the salt, if there's like a plate underneath it, the coins, all of it is going to go in the garbage. Make sure you put this in the garbage out of your house. You don't want it lingering in your house afterwards either. If there is any leftover water in here, don't dump it down your sink or anything like that. Just put it maybe outside in the storm drain or whatnot. So I hope that helps for you guys. I can show you some pictures of what some of my salt cures look like. It's kind of fun to play around with them and just see different areas that where the salt crystallizes a lot faster opposed to some of the better areas of the home. So we use these to cure usually like the illness stars, the 5, the 7s. It's a great tool in Feng Shui. I highly recommend doing these, putting them in your office or your bedroom, or wherever you have that negative energy. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, and hopefully this helped out. Thanks. Take care, guys.